Hello everyone, and welcome to this Friday edition of Rollin Illini. I am Avery Schaefer with my partner in crime, Zain Bando, on his second ever edition of the live show. How are you feeling?
I'm great. I know that this is an episode that you've been waiting for a long time, doing it just the two of us, so I'm happy that we're able to sit down and do this today on a pretty hectic weekend in Illini sports, not just Paralympic-wise, but just overall around the landscape of all of the different teams with some of the new seasons starting up and everything. It's good. It's good to hear that you're doing well too. So
yeah, definitely a busy time. So let's get right to it. On today's show, we will have a preview of some of the games at this weekend's tournament to be seen live at the Arc this weekend, Saturday at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. for your men and women respectively. I will be there against Alabama and Wisconsin Whitewater. So if you're there, come say hi. We will be playing Alabama for the fourth time in the course of a week with more updates. Here's Zain. What do you think?
Well, this is a tournament that we should all be really excited about. This is one that they've been practicing for really hard all week. And so it's been a positive vibe all throughout Dres and kind of in that respective area for the wheelchair teams. They feel like they're pretty confident going into this weekend because they have a couple of tough matchups, like you said. Combined, Illinois is playing Alabama for the fourth time this year when you combine both teams. So that's great. And then another match that you would have to look out for is the 4 p.m. tip for the women on Saturday the 9th against Whitewater. Whitewater's always a formidable opponent, has been ranked nationally the last couple of years. So I think it should be some very exciting wheelchair basketball. And for those that have never seen the game before, I would highly recommend either going to the Arc on Peabody Drive, or if you can't make it to any of these games, it will be streamed on Facebook Live underneath the Illinois Wheelchair Athletics and Illinois Wheelchair Basketball pages. That's the beauty of how they put their content out there, is that you are able to see every single game as it happens. So that will be awesome for alums and everyone alike who's simply can't make it to the Arc. And by the way, just so you guys know, admission is free, and it should be a great weekend of Illinois wheelchair basketball, as we are under a month away from the from the NCAA Nationals tournament, which will be taking place March 13th through March 16th at the State Farm Center. It will be a tremendous feat. It'll be celebrating 50 years, so it will be an amazing experience for the next month for this team. And they're on and off every single weekend. They get to go to Canada. They get to go to various places like Auburn and all over the rest of the country. So it's a very tremendous feat for them, and it seems like they're just simply having a great time doing it, and it should be no different this weekend, and they should expect a turnout. So, and follow Rollin Illini at Rollin Illini on Twitter for all of your latest Rollin Illini news. You can follow me at Bando99, where I tweet everything from Illini athletics to Paralympic events to just simply all my opinions about sports. And you can follow this guy Avery Schaefer at Golden Boy. He needs followers, so make sure to hit that button.
I only have one, and he's sitting right next to me.
Right.
I just got it on Super Bowl Sunday, so thank you. Additionally, you can also follow me on Instagram at Q&A with A, where I do my own separate little podcast from this every Saturday night at approximately 9:45 p.m. local time, so tune in for that as well.
Yeah, you can also follow me on Instagram at ZainBando99. I try to post new content every 4 days. I'm always doing fun stuff, whether it's meeting people or sitting courtside at every single Illinois men's basketball game. So follow me for all of your latest and like instant breaking news or just simply a diary of my life, whatever you wanna describe it as.
His life is somewhat entertaining, shall I say?
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
So, in light of the wheelchair basketball tournament, I thought I would debut a new segment called Illini Past and Present, in which we would compare the team cultures from the past to those of the present. More specifically, I got a chance to sit down with former Illini great and Paralympian, four-time Paralympian, Megan Blunk, and here is what she had to say, previewing some of the matchups as well as her own experiences.
Hi everyone, I'm here with Megan Blunk, former Illini and Paralympian, currently competing in this weekend's tournament. So, how you?
In San Diego.
In San Diego, right? Yeah. So, let's start with the obvious. Why basketball for you? You could have done anything. Why wheelchair basketball?
Because I love team sports. It makes training a lot more fun, and I love all the different things that you can practice. You know, like rather than I did paracanoe, and I also have done like a 5K and a race track chair, but I don't like when the training is always the same. I like it when you don't know, like there's so many things that are unpredictable and anything could happen and you have to react to that, and it's just, I like the challenge. Yeah.
Okay.
As she said, one of the things common to disabled sports and disabled life, really, is unpredictability. So, for those of you who've never taken a moment to watch a wheelchair basketball game or tournament, one of the things you'll be struck by, and I was struck by this the first time I watched our current team last week, is the sheer amount of skill it takes to compete at a high level, given the deficits that you have. You just saw them work out this past week. What have you seen in regards to that?
Well, I've seen them all work at their own ability level. Some guys are over doing weights. Some guys are over doing core work. Some of the players are over playing the Wii for better eye-hand coordination. So it's pretty much everything that they are able to physically do. Their coach is Matt Bucci and Stephanie Wheeler will allow them to do that, and they're able to adapt to their physical abilities, and that's why I think it makes the culture kind of like a family dynamic or family atmosphere. And something that I noted as well, because I watched wheelchair basketball for the first time a week ago too, is that like you said, the sheer physicality, but just the way they're able to quickly move the ball up the floor without without getting a foul called on them, and they're able to quickly pass the ball on the fly, and they kind of know like when they're supposed to sprint back and everything. It's kind of really interesting to see like just the different dynamic on how the game is played, and I feel like as we continue to watch more, you're going to notice that the referees, and to me, from what I've seen in my brief time so far, is that the referees let them play, and I think that that's a very unique thing, because when you have a physical disability and you want to play a competitive sport, you want to make sure that not only is it about like the wins and losses and the results, but you want to make sure that you're getting the best competitive drive and just simply the best time out of the experience. And I think that that's what both wheelchair basketball teams are getting out of it, especially this year as they go on this long grind over the next 9 to 10 weeks here, which I think is very unique.
Especially given that, as mentioned before, the Nationals are being held at our very own State Farm Center. So, do you think that puts extra pressure on them to perform well at all? Because I would think it would.
I would think it would as well, because I think they want to make sure that when they come into March, they want to come in with some momentum, that they ended the regular season on a high note, and they want to make sure that they get as many people to attend that tournament, no matter if it's one day or all three. And they just want to make sure that they get the best turnout possible. So that means not only the results on the court, but also promoting them and making sure that people are noted that this is taking place. And, I feel like an important thing that will need to happen is, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure with his positivity and vibes, he will. I do think that Athletic Director Whitman needs to get behind this, because this is a very unique opportunity for the Illini to host a tournament that they have not hosted in a very long time, and they want to walk away off of their home court as national champs. That's their goal. So if they can get as many people as they can, that's the ultimate goal, to fill butts in the seats. So
you mentioned filling the arena. That's actually something I feel like we can talk about. It's no secret that the para-athletics have substantially less attendance than their able-bodied equivalents. Why do you think that is?
Maybe I think it's for a few reasons. Maybe it's because they're not used to para athletes competing at such a high level, like right in their backyard. Another thing is I just don't think there's enough exposure, and I think if we can get that exposure by having someone like me or somebody else running the pages full time, that would be something important to get more people to go. And I think overall, I think it's kind of on the players too, because if they have the platforms to promote their games, I personally think that they should. And the way the world right now and the way you hear about games is either through the internet or Twitter or any of these other social media sites. So I think it's very important that that wheelchair athletics get the same treatment that their able-bodied counterparts do. And I think people should show up to nationals. That's for sure. And I think that if we can continue to build this show up over the next 8 to 10 weeks, to keep promoting it, to give people more exposure, that will be extremely important.
I asked Megan the exact same question, and here is what she had to say.
Oh, and I like that it's hardcore, and you sometimes flip, and it's just very aggressive, and I love that.
I watched the wheelchair basketball, the current Illinois team, the other week for the first time, and I was very impressed with the physicality. So,
yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I think everyone should watch it in person.
I was surprised. So what's your favorite wheelchair basketball moment here at Illinois, or what was it?
I think maybe there was one game felt so good, and I think that one stands out to me the most.
Everyone has those days.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? I just learned this, because you know how I just did that, like, commercial with Kobe Bryant?
yes.
Did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I was watching some of his interviews, and I always talk about, the flow and how it's just amazing when you're in the flow zone and you're just feeling everything and you're just on it, and everything's going in. Well, Kobe said how it's not necessarily like the flow zone. It's more about being present and living in the moment, and that kind of really stuck with me, and it kind of helps because to practice how to be in the flow zone means just practice.
We're gonna go to break, and then after the break, we will talk about that very commercial you heard Megan reference. This is WPGU 107.1. I'm Avery Schaefer. We'll be right back. Welcome back. And now we're going to discuss that commercial that we just heard Megan talk about. So, Zan, what do you think of the idea of able-bodied people collaborating with Paralympians on national television commercials?
I think it's great because this not only allows the Paralympic athletes to gain more exposure, it just shows that no matter what your ability is, it's kind of like a "we are all one" movement, and I think that that's awesome because I think there needs to be more collaboration like this. Like, I'm going to give you an example. This is not Paralympic related, but I think it makes sense to talk about. So, for example, if you look at the NBA right now, there's a lot of activism going on where the players are really speaking out against the owners and pretty much are making their own decisions to the point where NBA Twitter has become one of the hottest things ever. And now the NBA is getting more exposure because the players now have that voice. And if Paralympic athletes would be able to come together on national television with able-bodied athletes to send a message that is of the instead of, oh yeah, these are absolutely athletes too. We're just their comrades. We're gonna try to support them in any way that they can, and I think that that's the overall message of the commercial that Blanc was referring to, and I think that that's something very important to note as as we continue to grow here throughout this process, and it's something that we could always revisit on this show anytime, because I think it's something that will hit home for a lot of people. That's for sure.
Yes. It certainly hit home with me when I saw it. Another relatively recent example of people in wheelchairs in a commercial was aired during the Super Bowl with Microsoft and their PlayStation 4. So I think that the sheer idea that companies are willing to take this leap of faith is a really positive step in the right direction. Keep doing it.
I would say so too. I feel like this is gonna put Microsoft at a different level because, as you can tell, Microsoft as well as Apple, in my opinion. I'm an Apple user myself, but I think overall though, Microsoft is going to continue to be innovative, and they're going to try to cater to whoever they can for whomever wants to use their products. And I think that that's a commercial that during a Super Bowl that was very uneventful. That's a commercial that people are going to look back on as a staple of that event, which millions and millions of people watched this past Sunday from Atlanta. So that was cool to be able to be there with you, and we watched that, and we were all touched by it. And I think it's something that Microsoft could build off of and potentially continue to create a new campaign to cater to people like us, and in order to bring the movement together. So that's great. That's awesome.
Now, I'm of the opinion that people like Megan Blunk and Tatyana McFadden, to some extent in track, are the LeBron James of para athletics. Do you feel like that's a fair comparison?
Oh yeah, I mean, if you look at the way Tatyana McFadden carries herself on social media, she's always not just promoting herself, but she's promoting a lot of other people, and she, supports many different organizations that have to do with charities in the adolescent, and I think that's great. She's trying to create a movement that Paralympic athletes can succeed at any level, and she's pretty much the poster child for like Paralympic athletics. At least in my opinion, there could be other ones out there that I still have to retain more knowledge on, but to me, she seems like definitely one of the big puzzle pieces to this current movement that we have going on right now, and I commend her for all of her success and work that she does off of the track. I think that's great.
She's certainly on the right track.
Yes.
No pun intended.
Yes, sir.
So, in light of the fact that we've been talking a lot about wheelchair basketball today and commercial promotion of para athletics, I thought it would be interesting to kind of address an obvious question, and that is, why isn't there more of it? Like, why are people just starting now to tap into that market? And my answer to that, and you can bounce off of this if you want, is that people fear what they don't understand, and they don't understand the Paralympic movement as well as they should. So part of the mission of this show is to assist in that understanding and promotion, but I think it's a mindset for people as well, too.
So to address what you're saying, I think the reason why there has not been more of it until now, I think, is because now it's starting to come into the forefront with the amount of coverage that NBC does with Paralympics, and the way that now all of the athletes can put themselves out there on various different social media platforms. And I think it's just interesting to note that I think now is the perfect time to start to become educated, because there are so many resources out there for how Paralympic athletes, do their training and go about themselves. And I think it's something that if they just keep up their positive mindset, I think people will eventually find them, whether it's through social media or through reading articles or what it may have you. The key for Paralympic athletics, not just here at the University of Illinois, but overall to become big, is just the more exposure on the internet, the better. And I think now, with the way the future and the way technology is working, I think everything will eventually end up going to the internet or some sort of a chip, where all you have to do is just plug in the chip into the computer, and all the information you could ever want anywhere will be right there for you. And I think that that's where this is all going. And I'm excited that we are currently at this stage in our lives where we are in college right now, because there isn't a better time to be going to college for people like us with disabilities than right now, because of all of the different resources we have available to us. And I think you and I need to be grateful for that. That's sure.
We need to be grateful for it. We are grateful for it. And we need to, above all, use it. The platform we have is a unique opportunity that arguably no other generation has ever had. And I asked Megan about that very thing, and she sort of echoed our sentiments. Here's what she said.
Mindfulness every day, you know?
Yeah. Slow the game down a bit.
Yeah, just be in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, every moment. Just like in life, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So, I hear you're with a new team now called the Wolfpack, or
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
how's that going?
It's going awesome. It's the San Diego Wolfpack. It's a military wheelchair basketball team. I'm not military, but they have one other guy on the team that is not military. They've been really, like, welcoming. I'm the first girl ever to be on the team, so they call me the She-Wolf. And, yeah, it's been really cool. It's just, like, you know, it was intimidating at first, for one, it being all guys. They're huge, and they're military, and but they have been so supportive and encouraging of me, and it's really worked out. It's helped me a lot. I went into tryouts and realized how much more aggressive I am with, like, getting people off my chairs, and, you know, just, I don't know, it's given me a newfound confidence, too.
You mentioned being the only girl on a all-guys team. How, if at all, has that changed the dynamic of the sport or the team for you?
I think it's good because well, for one, being an Illini, they drill it into us to communicate, and so anytime you're going and you're playing in a rec league or, you know, former college players, you hear the people that are so loud, and you just know that they went to Illinois. Like,
Yeah.
we communicate every single thing we do, and then we just make noise even if we're not. You know, we let our teammates know where we are. And so,
Yep.
being with all guys, for one, guys don't talk a lot to begin with, and then military, they all, you know, admit that they suppress a lot of things, a lot of feelings and everything.
She mentioned an interesting juxtaposition of military and wheelchair life. I wanted to explore that a bit. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that her being a part of a of a team where it's consisted of the majority of military players, and she's the only girl on the team, and there's one other guy that's not a part of the military. I think it takes a lot of courage to know that you're being put in the hands of someone who's going to give you tough love, tough leadership, and like she said in your interview, it's all about communication, and she emphasized the fact that if you're really loud, that most likely means you went to UI, and I think it's something that will only make her a better player, and overall, I think her being on the team will give her a lot of experience because she kind of knows this game well. She's been in the Paralympic Games a couple times. She's a two-time Olympian, like you said, and this is something that she can always take with her for a long time, playing on this Wolfpack team, and she could potentially be one of the catalysts for it. And I think she's a wonderful addition to this team, and I'm really happy for her that she gets to experience that with her teammates out in San Diego, and hopefully things go well for her and that she does UI proud. And I think it will only make her a better leader because of it. And I think that that's awesome.
Yeah. So last thing here. Illinois, as many of our listeners know, has a history of firsts. We were the first to create a men's and women's basketball team ever in the history of universities. I'm not sure what year that was, but we were the first to do it.
50 years ago, to be exact.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And now we are producing alumni who are routinely first in whatever they do. And I think that at the same time, that is really, really cool and really exciting, but it has to put some pressure on the first to perform well, does it not?
I would think so, because at the end of the day, not only are they representing themselves, they're representing their community back home, and of course they're representing the Shield, they're representing the Block I. So it's important that they always put their best foot forward. And I think from what Megan Blunk said to you in that interview, it's all up and up from here. It's all positive vibes, and I just think she needs to keep that mindset going. And I think whatever she does with that mindset, whether it may be wheelchair basketball or another profession, she will most likely be successful at it, because she has those communication and leadership skills, and probably a lot of the same strengths that maybe per se some of your co-hosts have, like Josh Joins and Miles Hill. They're in a similar spot right now where they're on a wheelchair basketball team where they get a chance to compete for nationals. Who knows what opportunities may appear for them. So being inspired by these athletes who used to go here and who played Paralympic athletics is something that I think needs to be noted, and I think it's great for what she's doing out there in San Diego. And I think that you did a good job of asking her appropriate questions, and I think a lot of her answers were really good and just off the cuff, and she said what she needed to say, and I think that that's great.
Yeah. So you mentioned representing the Block I. So after this break, we will talk about how we got behind this mic to talk to you guys. All right. So, as I mentioned before, we will now discuss how we got here and why we're doing what we're doing, because you're my guest and this is your second time on the show. Why don't I let the newbie kick us off?
Sure. So it started back in the summer when we first met, and I kind of wanted to know what you were doing at U of I, and you had kind of told me some of your experiences working at ESPN, which are me wondering all of them, working here at WPGU with Ryan Wilson, and I just thought the Rollin Illini show seemed like a great opportunity to promote our sports, I guess you could say, because even though we're not Paralympic athletes, we do have disabilities, so I consider all of these Paralympic sports our sports per se, and I thought that was really cool. So after having a few conversations with you, you put me in contact with the right people, and I got started, and I'm thrilled to be here. And I'm hoping to pursue other ventures. Like right now, I'm on the Disability Student Awareness Committee with Beckwith back at Nugent Hall. That's a good organization to get involved in if you're a first-year student. We try to promote various different events that help bring disability awareness to U of I, because unfortunately still most people don't know about our program. It's still kind of a word-of-mouth thing, so we're trying to get that out there. And I'm also pursuing other opportunities with Big Ten Student U and Fighting Atlanta Productions. And then, of course, this venture with you. And I know the show is primarily done with you and your two other co-hosts, Josh Joins and Miles Hill. And sometimes sometimes Ryan Wilson, the original creator of this program. But I do enjoy every opportunity that I can to be on here with you, and I hope to do this many more times because I feel like if we can keep pushing this message of inclusivity, I think it will be very important for those people to just be aware and allow themselves to we sit back and think because we want this show to be a time of reflection. We want this show to be a time of like shock and interest, and we just want it to be as relevant as we possibly can. And yeah, that's what I have. How did you get here?
So, when Will Jerrod, former producer on the show, called me and asked me whether I wanted to be on here, I jumped on it. I had never heard I had no knowledge of wheelchair basketball. I had no knowledge of Paralympics when I first started 2 semesters ago now, I think. Yes. But I didn't care. It was the first opportunity I ever had to have a show specifically geared toward the Paralympic movement, which was a really exciting opportunity for me. Plus, for those of you who don't know, I have CP, so it's not really viable for me to make a living out of manual task.
As do I.
The only true viable option, as I see it, is to make a living out of my voice during this. And this is what I'm passionate about as well. So I love doing what I'm doing, and I couldn't see myself doing anything else. So
well, that's a really nice thing to say, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you, and I think it's cool that we get a chance to do these one-offs every once in a while, and I appreciate all of the support that not only WPGU has given both of us, but also our band of public TV and all of our own personal brands. I think it's helped out all of us, and I think it's ultimately helped out the wheelchair basketball team because of course two of your co-hosts are featured players on the men's team. So I think that that's great, and of course we wish those guys and the rest of the team and the women's team the best of luck this weekend as they embark on their journey on another tournament. Let's see if they can sneak out a couple wins at home before going back to the gauntlet again for the next 8 to 9 weeks. So I think it will be a very interesting stretch right before nationals come up in mid-March or so.
to close the show, what do you say we do predictions?
Sure. What do you have? What do you think?
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say we beat Alabama and we beat Whitewater.
I think we're gonna give Alabama a great game. I think we're gonna beat them, but I think we lose a tough one to Whitewater in overtime by 2. I think it'll be a really, really entertaining game, though. The Whitewater game will show where this team is really at before they go off and they play on the road for the next couple weeks.
We had Bushy on the show, the first show of the semester, and he really pointed to the early Auburn game and this Whitewater game coming up as true tests of the current state of the Illini. So good luck, boys.
And good luck to the women as well. This has been an absolutely tremendous show. I'm glad that we were able to pull this off with a couple of days to go. And you, sir, I think you did a really, really good job. I don't know about you, but that was really fun. That was awesome.
It felt like we really pulled something off. And with that, I've been Avery Schaefer with Zain Bando saying goodbye, keep it rolling. See you next week with Miles Hill
On WPGU 107.1 Champaign's Alternative Rock Station. Thank you for listening.